lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan,
And I'm Manny.
and we are talking some early 90s Image comic books. Today, we're going to be talking about Shadowhawk #0. This was part of the Image X month when all the founders shuffled the books around, and each person, like Liefeld did Shadowhawk, Valentino did Youngblood, Jim Lee did Savage Dragon, Eric Larson did Wildcats, Todd did Cyberforce, Mark did Spawn. So like a lot of cool stuff. I wanted to start with this. I'd be down to go through all of them. I know they've been covered by other YouTube channels also, but I haven't covered it, so I want to talk about it. And I love Liefeld. I know you love Liefeld, so
Yep.
a no-brainer. I love this version, this style of Rob's. Never see it again. This is the only time you see it.
There's almost like a Frank Miller Sin City vibe to it in some places. Like the hulkiness, like the bulkiness of the characters, I feel.
Totally agree. And it's kind of like when Jim Lee did Deathblow. He like changed up his style, and he definitely had the Frank Miller influences there too. But like this is not as, to me, not as obvious of a Frank Miller kind of riff.
I agree.
I mean, you can see it, but it's not like when Jim Lee did Deathblow. Like that was completely obvious what he was doing at that, you know? But anyways, Liefeld does story and art, and then we got Carl Alstetter on layouts, which I think is interesting because we don't usually have somebody else laying out stuff for Rob. You know what I mean? He usually does it all. But I did think that was interesting because I'm thinking it was more of a time thing because Rob was doing his other stuff. So like maybe it was, I don't know. I don't want to like speak out of turn, but that's just my guess. Robert Napton is on script. Kurt Hathaway letter, Kiko Taganashi on colors, which is a name that I've definitely become more aware of because of Cartoonist Kayfabe and when they're talking about Kiko, you know, like I think Rob mentions him a lot in Robservations. But anyway, so we open up and we're going to have characters from more than just Shadowhawk because Bloodstrike's in here. We got Mars, Gunther, and Mist. And those are creations of Carl and Robert, which I think is kind of interesting. But I love this opening scene. I like the way he draws the mask, like the wrinkles in it. The only complaint I have is the green word balloons with black.
Makes it hard to read.
Over here. Yeah, it makes it hard unless you have like really good lighting. But you know, they're sitting there, they're on the ship, you know, you don't really need any backstory. They're on a mission. And I love this fucking page right here, dude. Like this is it's like first of all, there's no inking, it feels like. Doesn't it feel like there's almost like not a strong ink line? Like it was like colored to pencils almost? I don't know.
And I mean, and then there's technically no one credited as inking. All we see is, you know, story artist Rob Liefeld, unless he inked himself, you know?
Yeah. It's very interesting. I would love to kind of unpack that, but I just love this opening shot of Shadowhawk, Bloodstrike, and Mist just jumping out, you know, like, you know, you guys play a script, I'll handle the package. Let's do it, you know? Just a completely different Shadowhawk than we were getting prior to this during Valentino's run, you know, like Rob is gonna definitely have a little bit more of a dynamic.
Which I think is cool because to me that was the point of the Image X month. You know, you wanted to see these characters in a different style.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of the Miller too in the coat and everything on this character.
Yeah, so they're obviously, this has to do with, you know, it mentions like the AIDS and HIV virus because, you know, Paul, aka Shadowhawk, is infected with that virus. So that's kind of like the whole deal here, right?
Yeah, they're trying to stop someone from creating an airborne AIDS virus,
which is fucking crazy to think about. Like that's what these villains are doing, you know?
It's a sign of the times, man. You know, of course, you know, the virus was a topic of discussion back then because it was so prevalent and so terrible.
Oh yeah, especially because like, I mean, not that long before this was when like Magic Johnson, like probably one of the most high profile people, you know, came out and said that he was infected with HIV. But I love this. Like, I'll die anyway. You think threats will motivate me? it's just so great. Like for me, this is mostly, like I said, the art, which is why I dig this book so much. The story's fine.
This page is awesome too, man.
Yeah.
Like just I like how big he draws Shadowhawk. He's like
Fucking great, dude. I love this. He's like, we're busting into the Orpheus. Every time I read Orpheus, for some reason, it was like my head was changing it to Orifice. I don't know why, but I was like, we're busting into the Orpheus Foundation, a medical institute that specializes in biological weaponry. They've synthesized a solution that can transport HIV through water or soil, a mutagenic AIDS fluid. And he's got a bit like Dr. I'm going to call him Dr. Orifice. Dr. Orifice plays to sell the fluid to the highest bid. It just sounds like, I don't know. It sounded funny to me when I was reading it. But just like action page after action page, dude. Like this is just so fucking good. I would be interested to see if Rob would ever like revisit this type of style. I'm sure he wouldn't. I think he's
moved on from it.
He's past like the probably wanting to experiment too much, but it's definitely cool to see kind of like what he was, trying out. And he only, like I said, he only did it with this one issue. Oh my God, look at this too. And it's weird. Like the coloring looks kind of like weird too. The way they're coloring like the metallic. It's different, dude. Like, I don't know. It's just, this book is really interesting to look at because it definitely was different than what the Image guys were doing. I don't think any other book kind of looked like this.
No, and Rob never really did this kind of style again, not that I'm aware of. So
just look at this splash page after splash page.
Yeah, like I love how exaggerated everything is in this, and like it seems a little looser than what Rob usually does. So like there's like you said, I think it might be lacking inks because there's like I hate to use the word sketch quality to it, but that's what it feels like, like.
Yeah, because Rob usually has like really tight inks too, you know what I mean? And like you can see like the openness of the lines, like when you're looking at the outline of the character. So that's kind of what I was thinking. It might have even been mentioned somewhere that he didn't ink. I don't know. Maybe that's why it's in my mind. But just looking at it again, like even here, like the arm on this fucking robot, like you can see where the line just breaks, and it's just all it's finished with the coloring. It's just it's a cool little mission with Shadowhawk and Bloodstrike. Bloodstrike is something I would love to talk about on the channel too. Like I know we've done Bloodstrike with Michelle Fife stuff, but it'd be cool to talk about like the OG stuff. And then we get this dope pull up. Matt Groening.
I actually pulled it out and have it on my wall.
Oh, do you? Okay, so Matt Groening and Bill Morrison do Shadow Bard, and this is cool because like apparently there was supposed to be a crossover with Simpsons and Shadowhawk, or Simpsons and some of the Image stuff.
I would have loved that, man, because Bongo Comics was popping at that time too.
And what's interesting too is what Joe Valentino told me, because I had asked him about like how did the Sonic Image Comics crossover happen? Like, why did that come about? And that was mostly because of his kid liked the Sonic comics, and they did that crossover. That's when he mentioned to me about the Simpsons, and like there was other crossovers that were talked about that just didn't happen. And then, dude, I love this, the Stephen Platt Image. We get the Extreme Sacrifice. I really got to find out if I have all those parts, because I would be down to just do like one video, like talking about.
Yeah, I have some of them too. I gotta see which ones I have. I have at least 2 or 3 of those chapters.
Yeah, I know.
I have the Prophet.
I definitely have the Prophet. I think I have one of either the Prelude or the Epilogue. I don't know, that era is just fun for me. It's like it's childhood to me. That's what it reminds me of. So I love this. They found the containment unit, and they only got one shot. Make it count. And then you just see the like, or I can't make that sound, but the shing of the blades.
I love that drawing of Shadowhawk too.
I like the propelling down, and then
that's good too.
Yeah. All he has to do is open the vial and add Guther's dissolving agent without spilling a drop. So such an easy way to kind of like wrap something up.
Yeah, it's a quick read, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like it's just like it's a cool little comic. You read quickly and you have a lot of fun with.
That's why we're doing a quick little short video. Like it's just something quick, little bite-sized video. I figured like it'd be fun to kind of talk about. I mean, we're not gonna. That's the difference between maybe what we do and like other channels do. Like we're not trying to like be super over analytical on stuff and like pinpoint stuff. Like we're coming at it just like for the love of it, and that's why I go through these books. You know, that's
So let's look at some cool pages and mention some cool stuff. You know.
Yeah, dude, and fucking maybe turn people onto something they haven't seen before, and then you can read the story. Like that's. I don't want to tell everybody like word for word what happens, because then it's like, why pick up the book? But I love this, somehow hold on to the vial and avoid turning this place into the Chernobyl of HIV. Definitely dating it. You know what I mean? Like, now it's your turn to die. And then he just cracks it open, set the charges, and now they're gonna get the fuck out of there. I love this page too, where they're propelling from the ship. Like, it's not super like what you come to think with Liefeld is like a lot of lines. And you don't see that here.
Exactly. And that to me is what makes this an interesting book, because I think that was a conscious effort for him. He's like, probably, I mean, again, I don't want to speak for Rob, but from what I think, it's like he said, well, I have a chance to do another character I don't do on someone else's book. Let me try something different, Like, I think he really took the crossover concept, and not only did he do a different character, he did a different style that he doesn't usually do for himself.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Like, he really used this as a way to do something different, whereas everybody else didn't really do that. Like, Rob's the only one that took this and ran and made it a cool little experiment. But I love this. It wraps up everything pretty well. You get a little ad for the Shadowhawk 1963 crossover, which was a fun issue. I have that one. Get letters pages, which you don't see in comics much now anymore. But yeah, dude, just a really fun ads for some fucking Spawn Todd toys. Yeah, just a great book. An ad for Tyrant.
Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's something I'll call out too. Jim Valentino always would have ads for like other creator-owned stuff that wasn't Image, and he'd always promote that on the back. But fun issue, quick read, just fun to look at, and if you guys can find it, easy to find. It's not a hard book to find. Check out some of the other 90s comics. We got a 90s comics playlist. We got old Image stuff. Check that out. Our social media links are down below. Subscribe so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, we're out.